Happy 2019 everybody, it's Conor Hearn with the Alliance of Excellence. Today we have Steve Mead with us, the Director of Sancus Limited. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
Steve has been working with the Alliance and all of our members at reducing business expenditure. So, Steve, tell us about yourself.
Okay, thank you, Con. Happy New Year, everyone. Yes, Sancus. Sancus is a cost management business which exists purely to improve the profitability of organisations and dental practices. We do this by looking at the key business costs within an area and analysing those costs, and then using our extensive supplier base to find the right solution at the right price for that client.
Right, okay, fine. So we've been working together for a while,
Yes.
and I love the way you work and the results that you deliver.
Good.
But it's not just dental that you work in, is it? And that's why I should imagine that you're so successful at what Sancus does. It's so successful because you have a vast array of businesses you can tap into.
Absolutely. We set off originally by working with warehouses and retail.
Right.
And the key areas of retail were energy, as you'd expect with the retail premises.
Yeah.
Some can be quite extensive, and the same with warehousing. So we developed a very good brokerage system on energy.
Right.
And at that point, we started to roll the concept about reducing costs out to these customers. And it appeared then that motion cards, business rates, things like telecoms, where there are suppliers out there that most people understand, but no one has access to the number of suppliers that we do now,
Yes.
which gives us the power to our elbow to get the best deal for the clients.
Yeah. Good. So that's how it's working so well. It's very nice.
Absolutely.
So then you're not the only one in the market though, are you? So what makes Sancus different to all of the other cost management companies?
That's a good question. Well, one, we put a smile on an FD's face, and we do this by working so intimately close with our clients. We're not just on the end of the voice on the end of the telephone. We take pride in getting underneath the skin of a business, getting to understand the people that work there.
Yes.
So for instance, with your dental practices, we didn't just come in and say, look at the invoice, reduce the cost. We've got talking to the receptionist, we've got talking to the people that actually run the back office of the business and understood their needs and problems. And that enabled us then to search the market for a better deal for the practice involved.
Yeah. Fantastic. So a lot more of a personal service compared to the rest of them.
Absolutely.
Very nice. So, Steve, what would you say is the biggest expense shared by practices at the moment? Since you've been working with the Alliance, what have you found? What have you had to tackle most?
Okay. I think to answer that one, you have to take the practice in two areas, private practice and NHS practice.
Okay.
If we take the private practices, I found the biggest cost reduction opportunities has been motion cards.
Okay.
And motion cards primarily because there are a couple of big providers out there, and most smaller businesses tend to opt for the bigger supplier because they've got salesmen out in the field.
Yes.
And then once they're with the suppliers, they stay with them.
Right. Okay.
Big mistake. Loyalty is something which I think is a mistake in business.
Yes.
And we find with these larger suppliers, there's a huge opportunity to trim costs.
Right.
I mean, we're talking on recent examples for some of your members, savings of up to 48%.
Yes.
48% is a huge amount when it's a particularly large bill for the private dental practice.
Yeah.
So motion cards is a great opportunity.
Right. Okay.
The downside is with motion cards is there are some occasions when, for whatever reason, the practice has signed up for up to 4 years.
Wow.
Normally for their terminals.
Wow.
And I would say if any of your clients are in that position, not to fret, because we are able to offer savings that offset buying out of that contract early.
Right. Okay.
All right. So if your clients are locked in, it needn't be a problem.
Right. Okay.
And that shows you the level of savings that can be made.
Yeah, they must be absolutely huge if you're locked in for 4 years, but you can offset that against.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. So you've got the merchant cards then?
Merchant cards is one
Yeah.
area. Waste management
Okay.
is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, waste management, by definition, is another, similar to merchant cards, there's a number of key strong players.
Yes. Yes.
And there are a whole plethora of smaller, more niche players below that. And it's those guys
Yes.
that we're able to offer dental practices a more fine-tuned service that
Yes.
delivers more accurately on that practice's needs. Because what we are finding with some of your practices,
Yeah.
some of the members, that they're overpaying. For
Yes.
instance, we have one scenario where the dental practice was paying to have their bin emptied once every 2 weeks, was in fact they probably only ever needed to have it emptied once every 3 weeks
Okay.
because they weren't filling it enough
Yes.
by that time. So there's things like that that are great opportunities.
Yeah. Which I suppose these larger companies, as you mentioned, I mean, we can all think of them offhand, but they come in and give you not the tailored package that you need. They just want to tick X amount of
Absolutely.
boxes and be able to give you the consignment note, let you know the waste has gone, and you're literally
Spot on.
paying for the convenience of them having a salesman.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where Sancus is able to offer that level of detail where we find the right solution for the customer.
Yes.
Now, in some occasions, you may find, which is why we say we're cost management, you may find the solution we bring
Yes.
may not deliver a huge saving, but it delivers a better value service.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Which is what it's about. Okay.
Absolutely.
Fine.
That was that one, that's on the
Yeah.
private.
Yeah.
The other side is energy.
Okay.
What we do find, energy is a boring topic to talk about. It powers your lights and heats the rooms.
Yeah.
And suppliers depend on that
Yes.
apathy
Yeah.
to actually encourage customers to stay with them year after year.
Okay.
Great opportunity, and I would encourage all your members to always challenge renewals when
Yes.
they get them in.
Yes.
There's no such thing as the price we've offered you first is the price you're going to get.
Yeah.
The market is a great opportunity. There's lots and lots of suppliers out there. Now, if you haven't got the time, which most busy practices won't have, then that's where Sancus can come and do a brokerage service.
Yes.
We will watch the market for you and deliver on lowering
Yes.
prices for energy.
Yeah.
But energy is a big one for dental practices for the
Yes.
heating and lighting their
Yeah,
premises.
it's huge, it's huge. And another thing that I found by talking to the members is that when they go to get the renewal, a company will offer them 2-3 years.
Yes.
Now, everybody at the moment doesn't know necessarily what's happening with the market,
Absolutely.
given the subject Brexit. So what would be your suggestion if somebody's looking at a renewal right now?
That's a very good question, actually. As we're sitting here today, we're pensively waiting for the MPs of Parliament to vote one way or the other on Brexit. Now, I promise not to mention Brexit too often, but Brexit is causing all sorts of consternation within the energy market.
Yes.
Whereas you bear in mind that a lot of energy that the United Kingdom brings in is imported and brought in.
Yes.
So you have a state of flux. I'm recommending that based on the wholesale market prices and forecasting we're seeing,
Yes.
that actually customers refrain from locking in for longer than 2 years.
Right.
Because they may find that prices will tumble
Yeah.
post-Brexit.
Right. Okay.
Alternative, of course, it could go the other way.
Yes.
But market insights telling us that it's better not to lock in for longer than 2 years at the moment.
Right.
So if your clients are about to see an end to their current energy contract,
Yes.
I would suggest give us a call and we'll see what we can do for them.
Good, good. Okay, no problem. And then there was just one other area I want to touch on with energy. It's not necessarily just the contract that they're signing up to, is it? For one of the members recently, you changed all of the lights in the surgery.
Yes. I mean,
And that's had a big impact.
absolutely. Cost reduction isn't just about getting that unit price down. Part of what we do is offer a consultancy service that looks at how practices are using the energy. And indeed, the practice that you refer to, we were able to demonstrate a reduction in his energy costs of 80% by switching over to specific type of LED lights.
Wow.
So not only is he able to reduce his electricity bill by 80%, thereabouts, the atmospheric benefits he gets from changing LED lighting is far more conducive to a private dental practice of his type. So he gets far more, he gets lower electricity bills, and he also gets an environment which is more conducive to that of a dental practice.
It looks a lot more clean.
Absolutely.
That's right. All right, so Steve, lots of practice owners and lots of practice managers that are members, or that we even talk to, run very good practices. You know, they're very compliant, patients are happy, and all sorts of stuff like that. But they don't always pay so much attention to the business side of things. And we mean the stuff that you do. So, you know, how can Sancus help with that?
Okay. Firstly, I would say with the practices we've worked with, every one of them have desperately wanted to do more of what they should be doing in terms of finding the best supplier. So I must say, as an industry, the heart's there to want to reduce costs. But what we are finding the biggest issue is, let's take the office manager, is that they're also having to manage the clients, patients coming in. They're also having to manage the bookings and everything else that goes on day-to-day business. So renewing of an energy contract really slips down to second, even third place. And it's easy just to accept the first quote that the supplier gives. So what we can offer is to take all that away from them. And one thing I would stress is that there's no risk to the practice here, because by and large our services are come at no cost. So therefore we will take on board all the renewals, and we will go out and sweat the market more. We will find out better deals for that particular practice. Go back to the office manager with her job done effectively and say, right, there you go, there's the solution for you. If that then gets approved, we will then ensure a successful transition from supplier A to supplier B. So saving the office manager or whoever's doing it time, so they can focus on other things.
Indeed. So we did a bit of a study last May time, 2018, and we realised that on average, the average practice manager or principal will spend somewhere in the region of 10 to 12 hours per month trying to look into this sort of thing. But there's 10 to 12 hours that you could spend on compliance, or you can spend with patients. So it's right, you give you the information, you go to the market, and the bit I like is you don't automatically say yes, they're only one business. You give that business options.
Absolutely. And I think that's very important, not just to give the business an option that says this is the cheapest supplier. We actually give them a range of options that I think have been designed to meet that practice's needs. There's no point in just delivering one option when you find that doesn't meet the practice's specific needs for the business.
Indeed. I think also a big area that you've looked into for some of the members was business rates as well. It's something that can easily slip through. You receive the bill and you just put it on direct debit, or if you're fortunate enough, you paid a whole lot for the business rates. But you can help with that as well.
With business rates, it's an interesting one. There's almost a degree of apathy out there that this is what they've been valued at, therefore they've got to pay it. It's like income tax. But they don't. And what we're finding, we are getting a very good high success rate on successful evaluations of the rateable value of a property. So we use qualified chartered surveyors to actually assess a property and then approach the government agency to actually, the VOA, to actually get that evaluation checked and re-evaluated. Thus, often, not always the case, resulting in a lower rates bill every month. And even better, a refund of all the overpayments
Yes.
up to the last evaluation date, which
Yeah.
was 2 years ago now,
Yeah.
2016.
It was absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant. Okay.
Yes, you benefited from that, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, indeed. So then, obviously, that would be something that you would work out once you're in the practice and you've got to know the PM, the office manager, or you've got to know the principal.
Yes.
You would obviously have that conversation regarding business rates. But
indeed.
if somebody come on board as of today,
Yep.
what's the first thing you'd look at? What would you look to impact
Okay.
immediately?
I think the best thing, because we cover so many business cost areas, the best thing to ask a new member is, what's their biggest headache?
Yeah.
What apart from staffing costs,
Yes.
which we know is up there with the best of them,
Yeah.
that's a necessary evil to deliver on patient care.
Yeah.
What's the next largest cost that
Mhm.
really gives your practice owner a headache?
Yeah.
And invariably, that could be merchant cards, it could be business rates, it could be energy. We don't know at this point. We're
Yes.
very much in the hands of the practice owner to tell us, or the
Yeah.
office manager.
Yeah.
Once we've got that
Mhm.
idea, let's just say it's business rates,
Yeah.
we need information.
Mhm.
And the information that will enable us to go off and start the investigation on lowering costs is invoicing
Yes.
of the latest copy of the latest bill,
Yes.
along with, in the case of energy,
Mhm.
a contract detail,
Yes.
so we know when the contract comes to us.
Yeah, okay. So you sort of pulled me into the next question there. Was because we know the managers and the owners are so very busy. They've got patients 5 days a week. There's so many people coming through the door. And a main onus is to bring more patients in all the time and keep the practice compliant.
As it should be.
So they're very busy. But what's the quickest way then that they can take advantage of your services?
Okay, quickest way, one, agree
Mm.
the cost areas they need help on.
Okay, so that's box number one.
That's box
agree
number one.
where you need help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once we understand that, we've got the list of priority of cost areas,
Mhm.
a copy of the invoice.
Okay.
Let's just say it's energy, so
Yeah.
we need a copy, a good quality copy
Mhm.
of every page of the last invoice they received from their supplier.
Yes.
We also need a copy of the contract,
Mhm.
or at least confirmation
Yes.
of when the contract for that energy bill in this
Mhm.
case comes to an end.
Right.
Because there are some contracts
Mhm.
which extend into a couple of years, in which case we, at that point, will have to go back to say, look, we can't do anything for you now,
Mm.
but we've diarised a review
Yes.
6 months before the contract's due to come to an end.
Yes.
Just because a contract is 2 years in advance
Mhm.
doesn't mean we can't start looking at it earlier than you would do normally.
Right.
So once we've got a copy of the invoice,
Mhm.
copy of the contract,
Mhm.
and we need a letter of authority signed by the practice owner
Mm.
that will allow us to go out to
Mm.
the market
Mhm.
and approach their suppliers for further information on energy usage,
Yes.
etc.
Yeah.
We will then go out to market
Mhm.
and find the best solutions for that customer.
Okay. Okay. Fine. But so what you're saying is that if I have a contract that's coming to end in 18 months' time, already I can give it to you. You're going to calendar it. You're going to action it and give me a better price
Absolutely.
when I've only got 2 months left. on that
Absolutely,
contract.
absolutely. So in effect,
Mm.
our service means that they don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yes. Yes.
What we need is information
Mhm.
on usage and the bills themselves. Once we've got that, we will then work behind the scenes to
Mhm.
deliver the best solution for that client at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so Steve, we're at that time of year now where everybody's looking towards the end of January. Everybody's got their tax to pay, or everybody's just paid their corporation tax, and everybody's looking at reducing spend. So I can imagine that some people will be watching this thinking, how much is it going to cost me? And it all sounds fantastic, what you do, but how does it actually work?
Okay. Right, well the first thing is, in terms of costs,
Mm.
there pretty much isn't any.
Mm.
It's a risk-free approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
How does it work? Once they've signed up to the Alliance, we will send out an email introducing us
Yes.
and our services.
Mm.
About 2 weeks after that, I will normally follow that up with either a phone call or another email to
Yeah.
the office manager or practice
Mhm.
owner, just to sort of say, what are your biggest areas we can start to look at?
Yes.
Time is of the essence.
Mhm.
I can guarantee out of many of the costs within the practice we can save on nearly all of them.
Right.
So why waste money
Mhm.
when we can actually start to reduce costs now?
Yes.
So we encourage the office manager or practice owner to identify the biggest headache.
Yeah.
Then let's just say it's energy. We will then ask them to provide some invoices, and irrespective of where they are on contract, we will start looking at what the best options are for that customer.
Yeah.
So I would encourage really all alliance members, new alliance members, to start engaging with us straight away.
Yes.
You can never waste time on saving money.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So that's how it works, and I've got to agree with you. If the quicker they act on it, the quicker they start saving.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what's the benefits then? If I sign up as an alliance member, I'm obviously going to save with what the alliance offer me.
Yes.
What benefits can Sancus offer me?
Okay. I think there's two key benefits that really resonate with me. I've mentioned the first, risk-free.
Yeah.
It's not, strictly speaking, going to cost the practice anything to engage with us to then reduce their costs.
Yes.
They, as a result of our activity, will see real savings in their operating costs, which they can then choose to reinvest in their practice, maybe additional headcount, so they can drive their client services. So I think the risk-free, I can't guarantee cost reduction, but out of all the practices that we've been working with, we've managed to reduce costs in many, if not most, of the areas that we're looking at. And I would say it's also an opportunity to free up finance to seek further growth and drive the objectives of that particular practice.
Yeah,
that's the benefits of using Sancus.
Definitely. I always say that you can never guarantee that another patient's going to walk through the door, but if you're sitting on all of these expenses that you just haven't looked into,
absolutely,
it's ideal trying to free up those
well, it is, and if I may just give you another example, so I've got you. We have mentioned earlier, it's not just about reducing costs. I can give you an example where one of the alliance members asked us to look at telecoms. Now their telecom system was relatively old, and we were able to bring it up to an industry-leading standard. Not just lower their costs, but also improve the efficiency and effectiveness of that system. So as their patients were better able to reach the dental practice when their patients needed to speak. And that was a great example of not just lowering costs, but also making the dental practice more accessible to their patients.
Definitely. Good.
Yeah.
Good. No problem. So then, Steve, tell me, if I am a practice manager or practice owner at the moment watching this video, I like the sounds of everything, but you need to see some results. You need to build up a rapport with a company before you become a member of the alliance. We don't ask anybody just to become a member without even engaging in conversation. And there's lots of people that I know at the moment are watching what we're doing and how we're doing it, taking some tips and reducing their expense. Is there any particular tip that you would give a company that's not signed with the alliance yet? How would you help them save money? Just with one tip.
One tip. There's no such thing as loyalty, Con. I would suggest never accept a quotation at face value first time round. I think suppliers, certainly in the waste management, energy, telecoms, almost make the assumption that practices don't have the time to negotiate. Some of the more forward-thinking ones do, but they're only negotiating with their existing supplier because it's easier. It doesn't take as much time. So my tip would be, even if you're not going to use us for a while, push out your quote to a number of other suppliers. You'll be amazed at the price variance.
We can see that with what you do, with what the alliances do. We see all of it.
Absolutely.
Never be loyal.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, very good. Excellent.
Okay.
So, Steve, thinking about everything that you do and everything you've pointed out and the tips you've given us today, why would you say that principals, practice managers, practices in general, independent practices should come and join the alliance?
Okay, I think there's two strands to that question. The first is, the simple one is, well, you can reduce your costs and therefore reinvest in the business and grow.
Yes.
But there's a second, more deeper one, I suppose, and that is the Alliance encourages a practice to think of itself as a profit-making centre, as a business in itself, and that's the key, I think, long term from a strategic perspective. It encourages a practice to think of itself as a business, and the Alliance offers tools to enable them to plan long term. And certainly with Sancus, it's not just a question of reducing costs on energy in year one and walking away. Sancus wants a long-term relationship, and as we've mentioned before, we want to work with practices on a long-term basis. We will work behind the scenes tirelessly to ensure that practice goes from strength to strength. So the Alliance is a long-term partnership, and it should be seen as that way.
Indeed. And it reminds me, you know, we speak to many people who, not that they don't know they're running a business, but it's predominantly a dental practice, and they want to see patients and they want to do the best for the patients, but they don't have time to look into the business side of things. So it is a bit of a mind shift as well.
It is.
And one of the benefits, obviously, they get introduced to your services, and then you take up the gauntlet and see what you can do for them.
Absolutely.
But it's definitely a mind shift, isn't it? Because one day they could be saving with yourself.
Yes.
Next day they could be doing CPD with the Alliance, or then saving with, you know, one of the big supply companies, and then back to yourself to look at LED lighting.
Yes, absolutely. But I guess overarching all of this is the concept that they are operating in a highly competitive and regulated industry, and there are lots of competitors out there that are also striving to increase their patient count. And every business has to ensure it's at the top of its game, and the Alliance, I know, can help them deliver that by taking the time to do things that the practice owner, the office manager, quite simply doesn't have time to do.
That's right. So we're helping practices get ahead by looking at the stuff that's in the cupboard.
Absolutely. And that's potentially sucking them backwards in terms of time and effort. And that's notwithstanding the fact that we bring a whole bundle of tools to the party that they quite simply don't have access to.
Indeed, that's right. And it's lovely to be able to have you, to be able to give this benefit to the members. And we've seen what you've done already. The savings that we've achieved are absolutely fantastic.
Yes. I'm pleased to say, and I must say, with this role, I often say it's the best job in the world, primarily because who else can put a smile on the financial director's face?
That's true. Nobody very much. Excellent. Steve, thank you very much.
Thank you, Colin.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So if you have any extra questions that we haven't covered today, Steve and I will be more than happy to answer any questions. If you've got any particular areas that you're concerned about, business expense-wise, utilities, as Steve mentioned, clinical waste, even if it's just a rough quote, please feel free, get in touch, make the first initial contact. We would love you to, and we'd be so happy to get back to you, give you the answers for any questions that you may have. Take care for now.
Thank you. Bye.